Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the launch of the Teachers Lounge. Make sure you get yourself settled in, get into the chat, say hello, we speak back. I have a beautiful panel of people here. We're going to have a conversation and we're going to set this thing up real nice. So shout out to everybody that's logged in and getting logged in and wondering what's going on. What are we talking about with the Teachers Lounge? And we're going to find out in a few seconds. All right, we'll be with you shortly. All right. Welcome to what we call the Teachers Lounge on the MSE Network. I'm your host tonight, and I go by the name of Rich. I am a life business mentor, coach, entrepreneur, and all that other good stuff. We'll dive into the conversation a little bit later about who I am and what I represent, but I am going to bring to the screen all my guests here, and let me set this up real nice. If you wonder how to get into the chat, if you scroll down, if you're on the radio station, the MSC network station, there's a green bar. There's two green bars. In between them, there's a place for you to put your name and just join the chat and communicate with us if you're out there. We would like to know who's listening and interact with you and engage with you. And on the other hand, if you're on YouTube, you can also chat there. We're monitoring as well. Shout out to my moderators. Good evening to you, Ronnie. Good evening to you, Renee, and everybody else that's out there listening to this launch. I'm excited about the Teachers Lounge. So I'm bringing on the screen. I brought some wonderful subject matter experts, and we're going to talk about the Teachers Lounge. I'm going to bring them on in a second, have them introduce themselves, and we'll just basically have a conversation. This is something that I thought would be instrumental for us to do as it relates to education. But it's not all about just the educators. It's about the system. It's about the students. It's about the whole culture and how we change the dynamic of society with our youth, because they're our future. We will get older, and we will need leaders. And this is where they're developed in our school system, rather it be from K through 12, public, private, or even, HBCU, community college, or collegiate type educational style. So it all matters. But most importantly, we care about the people that make it happen. So I'm going to bring to the stage, the virtual stage, into the virtual Teachers Lounge, my how do I describe them? They're all subject matter experts, and they're all different, and that's what we're bringing, this diversity. So I'm going to bring the team of panelists today, and we're going to have a conversation. So let me bring the team. All right, guys, you guys on screen. I'm going to start from my right, Miss Allen, who's the educator in the Miami-Dade County public school system. I'm going to start out by allowing them to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about them and what they do in their respective professions. So, Miss Allen, will you introduce yourself to the audience out there? Say hello to them and let them know a little bit about you.
Public school system.
We're waiting on you. You can turn your there you go. You can turn that down. That's a little delayed, by the way.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sanjay Allen. I am a 20-year teacher. I am the founder of the Teacher Companion, which is a platform that helps teachers grow and succeed, whether they're a new teacher or a veteran teacher.
Okay, okay. Yeah, just so you know, if you're listening in the background, it's going to be delayed by a minute or so. So you may just can you guys hear me?
Now we can.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so it's going to be a little delay because we're broadcasting. So for those listeners out there, good evening to everybody that's hopping into the chat. We want you to dialogue with us, have conversation, but most importantly, share the link. Good evening to you, Evelyn and Lady CK and everybody else that's getting online with us. I'm going to go with Dr. Sherman and have you introduce yourself a little bit and tell them a little bit about yourself and what you do in your profession.
Oh, sure. Well, I'm Dr. Sherman, as you all know, hosting the Relatable Radio Hour with Dr. Green on Thursday nights. Want to just do a shameless plug there. But aside from doing that, I'm also an executive life coach, and I also work in higher education. I work as a conflict resolution specialist. The fancy smashy term for it is an ombudsman. And I've actually worked in higher education for 20, a little over 20 years at this point. So I have a lot of experience in working with college students. And a particular role of mine that I really enjoyed was working with student athletes, working with football teams, baseball, basketball, all of the sports teams, athletics, and just have been entrenched in education for quite some time. And so I'm excited to talk about this topic tonight and to get into some really important stuff.
All right, all right. Well, thanks for the introduction, and then I'm going to skip over myself, and then I'm going to go to the one and only. Thanks for my. This dude is a ride or die, man. I called him in, and he had been on the radio show before, and he brings so much talent and so much information to the organization. So I thought it would be cool to have him come back and kind of talk about his strengths. My brother Lamar, will you go ahead and introduce yourself to the people?
Man, I don't have much more to say than that, good brother. That was fantastic. Man, I'm humble. Thank you very much. Man, my name is Lamar Lewis. I am a therapist and consultant, focusing on workforce development, primarily dealing with soft skill development, i.e., like Dr. Sherman, conflict resolution, stress management, self care, leadership development, communication, things of that nature. And so I have a much like everyone else here, 20 plus years of experience as a community-based mental health therapist working in schools, primarily with young people and primarily with young men who are dealing with behavioral issues, anger management, things like that. So
Awesome. So basically, we got a mixture of diverse community here, and that's what the Teachers Lounge is about. We're going to be coming here frequently, and the panel is going to continue to rotate and change. And the reason is we want to be able to provide solutions, resources to support our educators and everybody in the system, from custodian, maintenance to principal, even superintendent, not just on the K through 12 level, but also our college, our HBCUs, and all of that. So we can kind of strengthen our community. And this is the place where this is the place we know that we can reach them and kind of mold them to be very, very instrumental in their future, which we would really be dependent on as we begin to age out the system. So I'm just going to be throwing some questions out there. If you guys want to ask some questions, if you online, make sure you're sharing the link. I would love to get a crowd in here because this is important conversation. It's not all dark. So I just want to enlighten the people out there that may not know what's going on. Like And after I make this statement, I'm gonna pass it on to Miss Allen. And back to school every year, I noticed that, man. There's a rally around. Um, there's a rally around the youth and coming back to school, things of that nature. And it's not too much of a rally around the teachers who have to do so much on their own as it relates to the education system. So, what are your thoughts, Sanjay Allen? You said that you have an organization named the Teacher Companion. Can you talk to that, and what made you come up with that, which I think is a very genius idea?
Well, it was really born out of frustration. Just teachers coming in, you preparing to mentor them. I've been mentoring probably maybe 15 years that I've been teaching of the 20. And I really liked mentoring them. I had a very good mentor when I started. So I wanted to kind of make sure that everyone else had that same opportunity. So if I saw that they were lacking in something, I would just jump in. So eventually I became a formal mentor and preparing everyone for doing the things that they needed to do to make sure that they knew we were here to support them so that if teaching was your passion, you didn't feel alone when you were trying to figure out, well, how does Miss Johnson or Miss Jones, how do they do things so smoothly? Well, they've been doing it for a while. So no one has the time to actually sit and teach you that. But I kind of felt like I had to make it. So helping teachers and then preparing the schedule to mentor them down the road of however many more weeks it was to hear that, oh, she quit. What do you mean she quit? Well, what happened? Oh, she said it was too much. So the ones that didn't quit, you kind of wanted to hang on to them, but you can see like, I don't think they're coming back next year. Or they would come back, but they would come back, instead of being refreshed, they would already be flustered. It was just always something. They never could find their footing because they felt alone. So creating this meant that I could mentor them where they didn't feel attacked if they ask a question in their school setting because now those are the people that they're working with. I don't work with them. So it's easier to ask me a question where if you wanted to ask your partner or your reading coach or your math coach or even the assistant principal or principal, you felt like, well, this is my job. I don't want them to know that I don't know the things that I'm supposed to know. So I felt this was a safer place and it could allow people to actually get the information they need and stay in the job that they love. So that's where I got that idea from. And it seems to be going better than I expected.
Okay. You know what? Thank you for creating that. And the truth of the matter is, I think they can use that model throughout just the world. Like even in first responders, law enforcement, the medical field, any field can use a companion. Because you know how it is when you first get a job. Um, you don't have a buddy. 9 times out of 10, you're kind of out. You feel awkward about the profession you're in, and it's a tough way to navigate through the system, and especially when it comes to educators, what a stressful, what a stressful institution. So my love goes out to all the educators because I remember being a student, but not only that, I have a child who's a student. So it's challenging to educate someone else's child, and they all are wired so different, so different. So that's going to bring me to my next question with Dr. Sherman. Um, you spoke to conflict resolution and things of that nature, and there's a lot of conflict as it relates to the youth. Um, what I noticed, being a former law enforcement officer, that it becomes more and more and more strange on how to deal with conflict in our today's society, from young folks all the way up to college graduates. The resolve and the ability to defuse situations have kind of gotten really, really, really small. What are your thoughts to that?
I think that there is not enough emphasis on knowing how to interact with people these days. I think with kids being where they are now with social media and having everything at the access of their hands, if you think about it, when we grew up, we didn't have the social media, we didn't have cell phones and smartphones and things like that. That's a layer that kind of adds to them not being able to communicate with people, right? And so we're at this place now where that idea of just not knowing how to communicate with each other is not only at the child level, it's at the adult level. It's at the level where people just don't have that civility to know how to talk to people. People talk at people, but they don't talk to understand or to listen. It's
Yes.
just all about speaking out at people. So I think that's part of it. I know it's not all of it, but I know that that's a big component of why it is the way that it is. I think if we started to kind of have conversations where our younger kids or even our adults for that matter are put in situations where they're actually listening or communicating in a way that it's going to be a two-way street, being able to talk civil, being able to listen, being able to articulate how you truly feel about something, that would definitely help. I don't know if we're at a place where that can happen just automatically. That's a lot of time to put into a lot of people. But I think as it relates to parents or anyone that's listening, if you found yourself dealing with your kids kind of having a sense of conflict, not being able to talk, not being able to communicate, you need to have some conversations with them as an adult so that they can start understanding how to properly communicate, because that conflict is going to happen in some way or fashion. And for adults who are struggling with conflict, I would say start being able to listen. And listen is not, so it's, some people say, oh no, I heard you. But hearing is just like a physical activity. Like I hear the refrigerator going, back there. I can hear it. I'm not listening to it, but I am listening to everybody on this panel. I'm listening to the words that you're saying. My brain is actively like wired to listening to you. So people start listening to people and not just hearing to react or to respond. That definitely helps to, kind of understand how to mediate some of this conflict that goes on. But of course, there are other issues that stem to conflict that, is a whole different category. And I'm sure we'll kind of toss around some stuff. But I think that's just kind of how it stands for me. I think just the sense of social media blocking out the ability for people to communicate, and then just people just not listening. They're hearing stuff in order to respond.
Wow. You said a whole man. That's a whole show right there. That is a whole show. A lot of people, and me, being a former investigator, I used to do interrogations and interviews, and what I learned through my certification and training is that we're typically only hearing 33% of what's being communicated. So that's a very small fraction of information that we're actually receiving, and most of the decisions that we're making are based on the 33%. So, in my field where I come from, there are a lot of people that didn't make it because, unfortunately, they may have passed away at the hands of a misunderstanding and only getting 33% of the information. So that is something to really think about. I believe communication is a skill, but I also believe that listening is a skill as well. Which leads me to Lamar, who's going to kind of hone in. You've heard everything that Ms. Allen said, Dr. Sherman, myself, about just the whole dynamic of being able to resolve situations, crisis, information, how we receive it, things of that nature. In your
Yes,
career
sir.
and in your profession, what can you add to this conversation that can kind of help pull all of this together, what we were just speaking about?
Well, I think that the underlying thread under all of this is, um, there's always a mental health component to it, right? There's a behavioral component to it. There is a um, many times when I'm coming into a situation, I'm coming in after something's already happened, right? And so then it's my job to help a person better understand and reframe a conflict in such a way that they can learn something from it and maybe do something different. When I'm dealing with a young person, I always tell them one of the best things you can do to manage your anger is take a breath. Many times, and I'm sure you've seen it, Miss Allen and Brother Adams and Doc, when a person is angry, the first thing they seize up is their breath, right? They start hyperventilating. They start, you've seen the little boys, the little boys are real good at it. They'll tense up and they put all the little fists up and all that stuff, right?
Absolutely.
And I've been working with kids for a long time. I was barely really a kid, and I'd usually, if I had that rapport with them, I'll put my hand near their chest. I'd say, just breathe for me. That one moment, just them taking a breath, gives me then the opportunity to have them pause, which many of us don't do in regards to conflict. I think you probably say, Brother Adams, you've seen many people go down just because they didn't just breathe and say, you know what, this ain't even worth it. That one, you got it, brother. That moment right there would probably eliminate half of some of the stuff I'm sure you've seen in your career. I'm just willing to put money on. And so my point in raising that is once we give, I find our youth are so gifted and they're aware and they're intelligent, they understand what's happening, but based on societal factors, systemic conditions, cultural situations, their environment, they're not given the opportunity to pause. They feel like they have to react right there in the moment, and oftentimes they don't. So I feel like, from my perspective, from the mental health and behavioral health standpoint, it's very important to just at a base level ourselves, like you said, as teachers, giving yourself a breath, as a parent, whatever it is, but also teaching our young people to just pause and think before you do something so that we don't have to come around on the back end. We can already have that foundation established on the front end and prayerfully eliminate some of the misunderstandings, as you said, as it relates to communication. I believe in finding shared definitions. All of us on this call could be using the same words, and they mean totally different things to everybody here. So if a person is saying, I'm angry, okay, what does angry mean? What does angry look like? A lot of times we find anger as a secondary emotion. A young person is hurt. They're dealing with some traumatic experience. They're stressed out. They're overwhelmed. They're anxious. So helping them find that language and developing a shared language with them, I find is also helpful. So I think that equipping teachers, like you said earlier, being there to support them in that way, right? And not just saying stuff and having meetings and trainings, but having something that's practical that when I leave now, I can teach my kids this. I can use this language to do this. I can better understand my proximity to a kid and how my proximity to a kid can elevate that anger response. Now I'm equipped with a tool I can use right now versus something that's theoretical or something they can't apply in the real world.
That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. So there you have it. So what we're doing, and let me frame the whole thing, and I think I have Dr. Yolanda that's going to come on shortly. Um, Let me frame it for you a little bit better, what it is that I'm trying to do here at the Teachers Lounge. So let me frame it a little bit better. So basically, if anybody has ever been inside the school system, you have the cafeteria, but then you have the Teachers Lounge. The cafeteria is huge. Teachers Lounge is very small, right? So I'm saying that to say that they're required to do so much, and everything from the crisis management of the children, the amount of work, the amount of stress, the amount of crisis, and then they have their own life, and then they have to balance the life of themselves and then come back into the school system. Why is this so important? It's because in that lounge, they typically get a very, very short span of break to be able to take a breath, and then they go back out there. And then there's grading paper, and then you make it home, and then you got to do this, and you got to do this, and then there's the end of the semester. So it's on and on and on and on. The superheroes of this world don't really wear capes, and I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. But then bringing in Brother Lamar, he said something about mental illness. Dr. Sherman said something about conflict resolution. We're all going to learn today in this conversation. Let me frame this. We're all in a lounge. We're all in a lounge. We call this the Teacher Lounge, but basically, we're all going to take bits and pieces of information that we're learning from one another, and we're going to apply this to our lives so that we have a better understanding on how we can navigate as adults. As adults. And it's not just about the teachers, but it's just about adults. A lot of us have childhood trauma. And some of that childhood trauma come from things that happened to us when we were in grade school, when we were in elementary school, when we were in college, right? So a lot of us, it may have not occurred at the school, but maybe it was a school age and where you receive some level of childhood trauma. This is why I'm bringing on people like financial experts, mental health specialists, coaches, ombudsmen, like Dr. Sherman, myself, life and business strategists. And it's going to be people from all walks of life to come in and just pour into this lounge. And I'm hoping that there's something that you listeners out there can take away. And I'm going to dive into that a little bit more. Dr. Sherman, I'm going to ask you this question. As it relates to stress and what caused stress, the underlying issues of stress, also kind of makes us short trigger. You know, I'm not asking you to answer this question as a mental health specialist, but I'm asking you mostly as an ombudsman, you probably are dealing with stressful situations. What is a de-escalating technique that you can use to help people de-stress? Adult, child, teacher, what is the standard that you typically use? And I know this is a off-cuff question, but give us some techniques of de-stressing and de-escalating.
Oh, sure. So yeah, I get a lot of irate students that are complaining about, this, that, and the third, and I have to come in and kind of roll up the sleeves and try to investigate. And in the process of investigating, I'm also getting them off the ledge because they are on like 20, on a scale of 1 to 10. So I'm getting them off. So one thing that I do say and I do ask is just that, you know, what would make you feel better right now? When I ask them that, they take that moment. I'm so glad that Brother Lewis mentioned taking that breath because it allows for them to kind of take that breath and kind of think about like, okay, I'm mad, but what would make this better if I wasn't so mad right now? If I wasn't so stressed, if I wasn't so like furious about this very thing, what would make it better? They give me the resolution that they want. And then I talk to them about that resolution. I say, okay, so if you got this, you're saying that you would feel better. What about that would make you feel better? So just talking about the possibility of things being better for them turns out to completely change their attitude, their behavior, their demeanor. They're they're getting in a place where they're changing their fixed mindset into a positive mindset, a transformative mindset, where they're able to get out of that place of being mad and then fix it to being in a different situation. They don't know that's what I'm doing, but that's what I'm doing. And when I do that, they're able to talk to me much more clearly. They, have a lot more, I wouldn't say respect, maybe respect. They have a lot more um, comfort in knowing that I'm going to actually see them through with their needs or their wants. Not saying that it can be done, but at least they know that, oh wow, he listened to me. He listened to me possibly being in a better place with this thing that's very stressful to me. It's a technique that works really well for me
Mm-hmm.
because in my line of work, like I have so many irate people, and that's like my arsenal. That's what I pull out of my back pocket. And from what I have been doing, it really does help. I'm not saying that everybody's going to be in that situation, but if ever you find yourself in talking to somebody, I think bringing them or asking them the resolution that they want, the thing that's going to make them feel better, is going to shift their mindset, which is a
Yes.
really good space to be in. And I'll also
Yeah.
say this, um, Brother Lewis brought this up too. We talk about taking that breath. But I'll also say that anybody who is, now I know people have experienced this, you got an email that just completely ticked you off, right? You read it, you are like mad. You are just like, oh, I'm about to get it in. I'm about to type it. When you type in that email, that's cool. You can type it out. Please don't send it. That is the worst time to send an email. Do not send an email when you're on 10. You can type it, bin out all the stuff, that's fine. But do not send it because it is going to be the worst email to send. You're probably going to lose your job. You're going to lose whatever good thing was going to come from this situation. Just don't send it. Wait a day, at least a day. Come back to the email, then respond to that. I know you didn't ask about that, but I just want to throw that out there. Just don't send the email. Don't send it.
That's some good. That's some solid advice. So to kind of wrap that, I'm gonna gift wrap it, man. That's amazing. You and Brother Lewis and Miss Allen, listen, these are some really good gems. What he said basically is, in the heat of whatever it is that you're going through, if there's any discord, discontent, or feeling uncomfortable or uneasy, this is not the rational time for you to hit the button or hang up on somebody or send an email or make any decisions. I have this thing I talk about on my show. It's called frequency, right? You need to understand your frequency. And if you're at a negative frequency, please do not expect positive returns. Okay, so whatever you do in a negative frequency, expect that investment return to be the same. We have this thing that we call in the IT world, trash in, trash out. Hey, you can't. I'm sorry, you don't have the ability to recycle it as a human being. So just be careful what you put out. I'm going to pause for a second, and I see we have. Is it Dr. Yolanda? Are you there with us?
She is.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
All right.
So, my name is Dr. Yolanda Green. I'm home. So I wanted to thank you all, Sanjay, for Miss Allen, for inviting me on. Um, I understand that you would like me to share my perspective on interviews with teachers. I'm a principal at South Miami Heights Elementary School. I've been an administrator for almost 20 years. 20 years. I was a teacher for 10 years, and this is I'm going into my 31st year this year.
Wow, congratulations.
So 7 years, going into my 7th year as a principal.
Awesome. Awesome.
So I understand Ms. Allen had some questions for me.
Yes.
Yes, we're definitely trying to get these teachers in the classroom. They're very passionate about teaching, but for some reason they can't get past that interview, or if they do get past the interview, they don't feel the rigor and run with it like we would like for them to. So we want to know, as a principal, what is it that you're looking for when they come to that interview? What is it that you're actually looking for?
So great question. I just went through a series of interviews this summer. It was a very interesting summer because unfortunately, we have a challenge before us in the public school system with charter schools. And so there's a bigger competition. I remember back in the day when public schools was heavily sought after. And now we are actually being interviewed by the applicants as opposed to interviewing them. If you really, really take it very seriously, things have changed. So teachers have more options, and with more options, the pickings are very thin. So what I look for is a eager, very adamant applicant from the beginning of just looking at the resume. So I look at the resume. I'm looking for certain things in the resume. I'm looking for consistency in employment. Where have they worked? what are their skill sets, and I'm looking for, um, I want to know outside of the classroom what things that have they done, what honors they've received, um, because one thing I can always say that I can help you to be an excellent teacher. I can build capacity. But when it comes to making a person an educator with passion and love for children, that has to come from the heart. So um, if they're walking in my office and from the moment that they sit down, I'm asking them questions. What else is on your, besides what I see on your resume? What other things can you tell me about yourself that speaks volumes about you as a person? Because I think that we bring so much to the classroom. Um, Capacity is just one thing, knowledge is one thing, but we bringing ourselves, our personality, our experiences to the classroom. So I'm looking for the whole person. I'm looking for a person that is willing to give of themselves. And I heard some of the speakers speak about education requires so much of the teacher. It does. It really does require a great deal. And so, with so much being asked of teachers, and for it being asked of us all as educators, it takes a real serious person to be committed to this profession. And so, it can't be about the money. It absolutely has to be about the students and helping them to meet their academic goals. I believe that teachers have to want to leave an indelible footprint on the lives of children. It has to be about the children. Being able to smile with the student, seeing them when they got that aha moment, um, that's huge. So in my interviews, I want to know, what have you done? What kind of experiences? And tell me about like an experience that you've had, a lesson that went really well, and then tell me about what that lesson looked like, and then talk to me about a lesson that didn't go so well and what did you do about that lesson. So these are some of the questions that I pose in my interviews. And I just really want to have a conversation, right? It's a conversation about how are you going to fit into my building? How are you going to fit into my family?
Right.
I have unique things that's going on in my school. How are you going to fit into my family? My school logo is a train. I say, how are you going to fit? How are you going to bring something to the train? You're going to come on this A train and you're going to do what? So let me know what you have to offer, and then I'll tell you what we have to offer. I truly believe in education. With 30 plus years, and I'm in this to win. And I wake up to, and I tell my students this, and this is how I know when a person that I'm interviewing is going to be the right fit, because I have such energy when I'm in those interviews, because I want to see and I want that energy matched, right? Because
Right.
every morning when I meet with my students and I get on that PA, I'm telling my students, we wake up and what? Win. So I'm talking about a winning spirit, and I want to bring people on board that want to win as well. And it's all about helping these kids be better.
Wow. Thank you
Oh,
so much for elegantly stating that what you're looking for and what principals look for when hiring teachers. And let me frame that beautiful answer and the question. Thanks for a good question, Miss Allen. So basically, just so you know, we're from all places. I'm in Atlanta. Um, Dr. Sherman is in Mississippi, and Miss Allen is in Miami, Florida. And Brother Lewis, are you in Atlanta as well? That's right, the A. He's in the A with me. So we got to connect, brother. So, and we have listeners from the DMV all the way up, New York. So we have listeners all across the country. And so to frame that question, to kind of go with that answer, is that the school system suffers a lot from lack of educators or interest in becoming an educator in the system. And it's not for the faint at heart, but there are some requirements that principals are looking for. So if you're out there, you're interested in becoming a school teacher, this is one of the professions that I know is never not hiring. So Um, you may want to subscribe to this network and see if you can get connected to one of these professionals. Because, listen, I've been a student, and I came back as a school resource officer, retired. I worked at the school. I almost forgot. I was a janitor. I was a custodian. I started out as a custodian and worked my way through the system. The moral of the story is it was just so many teachers that impacted my life and kind of shaped me to be the guy that I am. And I'm so proud of what I become. But trust me, I spent most of my life in school during the daytime. So the moral of the story is that we always need teachers, but I've never heard a perspective from a principal on what they look for and what's important. And hopefully that answer, as elegantly as she stated, it can help you shape the mind if you're thinking about becoming a teacher, or you have a child or a niece or nephew or someone that's interested. There you have it. This is what they're looking for. Don't come there looking for a job. Uh, this principal here is looking for you to come and help shape the lives of her students. So don't just come here for a job. For her, this is business for her, and she's serious about her business. So thank you so much, Dr. Samuel, for your time to come and share your sentiments on that. Do anybody else on this panel have any questions for Dr. Samuel as it relate to her school? What is your school again?
South Miami Heights Elementary School in South Miami. But I want to say we are the best because there is a Miami Heights, but we are South Miami Heights
You heard that?
Elementary School.
Yes, right. Put the South on it.
You put the South on it.
So we have Mr. Lewis and Dr. Sherman, along with Miss Allen, who you know, and myself. I'm a business life strategist, and Dr. Sherman is an ombudsman and he specializes in conflict resolution for his college. And then we have Mr. Lewis, who's a mental health specialist and coach and all things of that nature. So what we're trying to do is through this network, we're bringing a conglomerate of professionals to the lounge to basically have a conversation with our professionals so that they can have a sustainable career. We all have walks of life and experience, but I was just saying that, educators, it is a very extensive job, and it's you have to have a balance because it's a heavy calling, and with that, we want to just contribute what we have to bring to the Teachers Lounge to add some balance. Anything from physical fitness to mental health, from coaching, whatever the case is. I'm really good at helping people organize their life because a lot of folks don't manage their time very wisely. And we're just lending that support and bringing several different people to the panel. And if you can use any of us with any of your staff members, we would love to speak to them or have them come on here and listen to some of this great information that we're going to be sharing here frequently. So thank you so much for your time. With that, I'm going to relinquish. Do you guys have?
May I interject 1 second?
Sure.
May I add one more thing to this conversation?
Sure.
I think when I spoke to Miss Allen, she made mention of the fact of what physically would I be looking for. With most of our the people that we are interviewing, I just want to say this. This is very, very important. The district, Miami-Dade County, does not have a dress code. It is absolutely paramount. It is absolutely paramount to come dressed to impress. Please, please, please know that this is a profession that holds a great deal to my heart and to my colleagues' heart. When we see an applicant or prospective employee come to the interview and they're not dressed appropriately, that speaks volumes. So I would say if you are not sure about how to dress for an interview, it would behoove you to go and Google professional dress for an interview. But it has been an unfortunate recently in years where we've seen people come in for an interview and they're not dressed professionally. So that is the first, unfortunately, the first thing that we look at that could be an instant turnoff.
Okay.
Just wanted
Okay.
to add that.
Wow. I think she fell off. I
Oh,
think
we lost her
we
again.
lost her. We lost her again. So
But at
forgive.
least we got that good nugget before.
I
Oh,
think she
she's
come
back.
up.
There
She's
she
back.
is.
There she
Okay.
go. Yeah, yeah. So thank you so much. Wow, I didn't know that about it. You know what's unfortunate, Doctor, is that you had to address that. That is so unfortunate, and it means that there was a lot. That if you get to the point where you're going to come interview for a job, that means you came from someone's school system. How was that missed? Why was that missed? Because that means you have a degree or you have some level of education. Where was that person missing this information? And then this is why we're having this conversation. And thank you for bringing that up. I just didn't even think about that.
Well, I like to say something to that because that was one of the things that I had to answer for some of the people that said they felt the interview go downhill once they walked into the room. So my question was, well, what did you say? Well, nothing was said. How were you dressed? I had on jeans and a t-shirt because, teachers, they don't have a dress code. And that may be very well true. And I also work at Miami-Dade County Public Schools. They don't have necessarily a dress code where they can't come to you and say, well, you can't wear jeans and a t-shirt, but I only wear jeans and t-shirts on Fridays or maybe on a Wednesday if we're doing something where I don't want to be in my suit or my nice dress because we're going to be maybe cutting paper, using glue, crayons, and so forth. But every day I'm dressed. If you see me leaving to go to work or coming from work, you will ask me, what do you do? Because I'm not dressed like, oh, she's a teacher. You would have to ask that. So I understand when she says that they'll come like that because they do. And they also come unprofessionally dressed once they get the job. We may not have a dress code, but there has to be some type of code where you will only wear this to work. You will not wear leggings, slippers, slides. You can't wear see-through clothes, spaghetti strap t-shirts. You can't do that. It's not professional. And if we really want to be taken seriously in our profession, you have to say with your appearance, I am professional at all times, even though there isn't an exact dress code. But when a parent sees you, they should know that you're the teacher and not another parent at the
Wow.
school.
Wow. That you know
So
what's go ahead, Dr. Sherman.
I gotta slide this in very quickly. This
Yes.
makes me think of I worked at an institution probably about 10 years ago, and the dress code was terrible. I mean, it was a community college, and when you're seeing, I mean, a lot of the things that we're seeing now, um, I saw then as a problem, and now it's kind of become a norm. And I hate that it's a norm. I just want to say that. But we were allowing like students to come in wearing pajama bottoms and fuzzy, the slippers and the satin bonnets and all that stuff, which is, like you can see that now, and it's like, ugh. But I made a point to say this amongst my boss at the time, fellow colleagues at a meeting. We're in a place of education. We are where people are coming into this space to learn and to grow and to add to society. And if we're allowing for those type of habits to continue in a place of education, we're setting them up for failure.
Yes.
So it
Mhm.
sounds like, just in what was said, what you just said, Miss Allen, is that, and also Dr. Samuel, um, we've allowed for those habits and those things to go unaddressed, and they become a part of culture, so societal culture. And
Mhm.
so again, it's very sad that we're having to bring that up and to say it. But I mean, to come to an interview dressed in a t-shirt and jeans, like who does that? Like why are you doing that? You have to be able to discern if you are faculty or not. Like that's insane. But I think that speaks a lot to just what we've allowed to go unaddressed for quite some time.
Wow. Wow.
Mhm.
So
I would like to just add what I tell my teachers. and I put this in the faculty handbook. Though the contract does not specify a prescribed teacher attire, all employees are expected to dress in a dignified manner reflective of our profession. If we have a student code for dressing for students, where students have a specific set attire, then why shouldn't the teachers have that same set of requirements? And so the expectation for my teachers is for them to dress professionally. But unfortunately, it is not a mandate that they have to dress a specific way. So that gray line allows for a lot of wiggle room, and that's where you have this new ideology, or this way of I'm dressing for my personality and not for the profession.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So wow, that's deep. You know what's amazing about this conversation is that I really uh, didn't expect it to be so stripped down. Basically, I was under the impression that teachers were like, they were looking up, but if they're showing up like that, you're literally mentoring these people from the point that you hire them from a new standard, which I would expect that to be the standard. And you're literally, you are a mentor, you are a coach. Wow. So thank you so much for your transparency, Dr. Samuel and Miss Allen. Wow. And thank you for that point that you made, Dr. Sherman. I really am blown away by the fact that we're having this conversation, but I guess it's really needed. So thanks for the transparency. And wow. So listen, I want to give the audience an opportunity to ask questions. And how you doing, Martine? Martine said hello to everyone. She's been a teacher for 21 years. It is important to dress for success. You are a role model, just like Dr. Sam, you say. So, wow, I'm blown away. So what we want to do is bring our educators up to par, where there's some balance, where there's some information that they can receive, and just be better stewards so that they could be more productive. But there is a shortage. And if you don't believe it affects your community, it does affect your community, because guess what? If we don't have enough leadership in the school, what do you think is going to happen in your community? How are we missing all these things? I mean, to the point where we have to have a conversation about a dress code, about how to govern yourself for an interview. That means that from junior high school to college, it was a lot missed. So what are we not teaching? And no, the teacher cannot take responsibility for raising our children, even though you guys are tasked with
We do. We
raising.
do.
So I'm gonna shift
You're
this
a real
over.
teacher. You're nurturing, and you cannot just say, "Not my problem." I mean, your lesson may start at 9, but if Johnny comes in hungry, when I was in the classroom just last month, I had a stash for kids that did not have breakfast, because he cannot learn if he's hungry.
Wow.
Yes, it's not my problem, but he's my student. And as a person, a woman, we are nurturing. You're not going to let Johnny sit there and cry until lunchtime. It's 9 o'clock. Lunch is at 11:30. He's not going to learn anything between now and then. And then at 11:30, he's just going to be so happy to have food. The
Wow.
rest of the day is also gone. So Johnny has technically missed one day of school, even though he was physically there.
Wow.
So we have a lot of jobs before we start rolling out that wonderful lesson that we planned. And sometimes it is counselor, mom, nurse,
Wow.
best
Brother,
friend,
brother Adams,
whatever.
brother Adams, can I add on to that just a little
Please,
bit?
please do.
And I haven't, like I said, I haven't directly been a teacher, but I spent many times in a lot of time in schools, like I said, working with youth who have different mental health and behavioral health challenges. And something that I wanted to just piggyback on, I coached high school basketball for like 10 years. And in coaching basketball, similarly, right? Oftentimes, the black men in these schools play multiple roles. They don't have strong male role models. They don't see black men dressed up in suit and ties. They don't see certain things. And me as a mental health professional, I might be the only person. I wasn't before I was actually a licensed therapist. I was in the schools working as a paraprofessional or whatever. The kids didn't know that. The parents didn't know that. They just everything we took on every role we possibly could between connecting the resources and things like that, and then working as a working for the Department of Family and Children Services. I found that, to Miss Allen's point, one of the cases I had was a young Mexican kid who didn't have a jacket, and the teacher had to call Department of Family and Children Services. And sometimes the teachers or the principals are the only ones who are catching some of these gaps that kids are coming with, kids who are not eating, kids who don't have appropriate clothes for the weather, kids who don't have glasses and they can't see, and these are different little things that I might have overlooked at a period of time, but coming at it from this angle, realizing that especially certain schools in various certain neighborhoods, man, teachers and the professionals in that school carry many roles. That might be the only place a kid feels some love,
Right.
and seeing or just seeing something positive. They may have got called stupid before they came into school and ugly, and you just like this, you just like that. And then they come to school and they principal gives them love and a teacher gives them some food to eat, and things of that nature. The resource officer was cool to them, and didn't let them get bullied today. Like these little things that we don't think about, paints a bigger picture for what our children are facing day to day. And Lord forbid, bringing telephones and social media, right? So that's a whole other element. But I just wanted to just applaud Sister Allen and Dr. Green and everybody here, really, and you for having the vision just to remind teachers that you do fill a lot of gaps. And this is one of those jobs where if you're not adaptable and flexible and you don't know how to kind of roll with the punches, it's difficult for you to succeed, because a kid's reaction to something might not be they're just a bad kid.
Correct.
I know this from personal experience. This is always something else happening, and if we're not aware of that and compassionate towards what these kids are facing when they leave that loving environment called the school, then we really do them a disservice. I just
Wow.
want to add that.
Absolutely.
I think you're muted, Doctor.
You're on mute, Yolanda. Yolanda, you're muted. There you go.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you. I was just saying, is it Dr. Lewis? I wanted to chime in on something that Dr. Lewis made mention of. I make this to open the doors for all my leadership team. We all stand in front every morning to open the doors to usher our children in. But one of the things that what the purpose behind that and why I do that is because I can tell you from the moment that I open the door what that child is going through. I can do a temperature check and I can have a conversation with my counselor, like say, hey, listen, Johnny right there, he needs you to have a conversation with him. You'll be so surprised how many times we put situations just by implementing the door opening and showing these children that they're special enough for someone to open the door for them and welcome them into the building. At the good morning. My school is predominantly Hispanic, so we definitely are making sure that we bring in the Spanish so that they know that we are welcoming them into the building. But I want to say we're checking for the mental health of those students. We're checking to see if they have had a situation that night. We're checking to see whether or not, listen, they get out of the car and they'll say, I'm hungry. And let's go straight to the cafeteria. So you can find out so much.
I think we lost her for a little bit.
We lost her again. Oh, wait,
Yeah.
there she is.
Yeah. So, just to.
Active for a minute. Sorry about that.
No worries. You back?
I'm back. I was saying I was disconnected.
Okay.
Yes. So I just wanted to add when Dr. Lewis was talking about just the mental health and wearing so many hats, being able to see the needs of our students from the very beginning of the day. A student didn't have her hair done, so she didn't want to come into the building. I have combs and brushes. I have gel in my bag. I have things that I have in my cupboard to make sure that the hair is on point, because they have to go to class. They have to be able to get their education. So you become so many things. You are a mom. You are, you're the counselor. It's so funny how many hats, as a principal, I wear in a course of a day. But it starts from that moment that I open the door for those children, that I can see what kind of day that child is going to have. So it's important for us to do a check in with them, with their
Wow.
mental health.
Wow. Wow. So there we have it, folks. Just to kind of frame the conversation that we're having, we're in the lounge. We're having a free flowing conversation. We're just talking about some of the things that concern uh, teachers and faculty members and everybody involved, including the parents, which is going to be, it's a tough question, but I'm gonna dive into it. So just to frame it a little bit, this is the MSE network. Basically, we're in cities across the globe. My goal is to bring people across the globe from the educational industry and be able to get us all together and compare and have conversations, open dialogue about what we can do as opposed to complaining. Right now, the education system is in the ballots, right? I'm not a political guy, but it's very important to pay attention to what's going on and who your intendants, your superintendents are. Know who's in charge of the Department of Education. Like, we can make a difference just on this platform because we have listeners, right? So just hearing the gaps. See, we would be thinking as citizens, just plain old Joe Blows, that all you guys need is paper and school supplies. Never would we think about, for the most part, a hungry child, a child that needs a jacket or coat, or that may be missing some other just basic life resources. This is before the bell ring. I mean, you guys are literally social workers, nurses, mental health specialists. I mean, you guys wear more than one hat. And, for a leader in a school system as a principal, I see it's dark now. They typically come in sundown and leave sundown. I mean, they really, really give it their all. But like I say, our superheroes do not wear capes. And I'm going to dive in this conversation. I know it's kind of sensitive, but we need to talk about the parents. We need to have a conversation about the parents and what are your thoughts and how do you navigate that? Dr. Samuel, I'm gonna put you in the hot seat. How do you navigate the challenges? Because a lot of parents are young in elementary school, but how do you navigate dealing with? Because you can deal with the child, but then you got to send them back to the parent. So I'm gonna have you speak to that. What are your thoughts on
With love and empathy.
that?
With love and empathy.
Yes.
And you have to be patient, and you have to understand that not everyone comes from a place where they have been taught how to be a parent. There is no, we know there's no book on parenting, but we have had some understanding, of what works and what doesn't work. And so when you have parents that come from all walks of life, and sometimes they show the love to their children, and sometimes they don't. um so you cannot imagine, um in a course of a day, what kind of parents we're dealing with, because they're bringing their hurt, their issues. Maybe it could be the fact that they don't have a cell phone, or they can't pay their bills, or they don't have a car, or they've taken an Uber to get to the school, to bring Johnny to school and make sure that he gets there. Sometimes they're dealing with their own personal issues, where it's dealing with drugs. They themselves are abusers. I have seen so many different parents, but one thing I can say is if they get them there, they care enough to see them be in school. And that's the start of a good parent, that no matter what you're dealing with, you're trying to make sure that Johnny and me and Miguel gets to school. So for that, I'm 100% on. My door is always open. I always say you have to be empathetic because you have no idea what they're dealing with, and they bring it all to the school. I don't remember a day when um, growing up ever feeling like this is what educators deal with. This is what I mean. This is how you talk to a principal. This is how you talk to a teacher. Like, this is crazy. This is absolutely absurd. But I realized that their issues is not with me, and I can't take it personal. Um, they are coming as they are, and all they want for the most part is for you to do what you're supposed to do as the educator and teach their child. um but we have some different types of parents these days, because again, when you feel that you have um options, as an administrator, I'm courting. I'm out here trying to make sure that you stay in my school. So listen, I have I'm marketing. I'm making sure I got the bells and the whistles on. This is a real game changer with the charter schools. So I'm 100% on when it comes to my parents. They are the customer, and I'm here to serve them. So don't let Shawana leave out of here upset. Shawana got a child that I need in my school, so I'm going to say, hey, Shawana, sit down. Let's have this conversation about what's good for whatever his name may be. It's a game changer. So my parents are my customers, and I'm 100% about customer service. So I try to give them the best customer service, because I need my students, because in order for my teachers to have jobs, for all of us to have jobs, I have to have those children in the building. And so we're talking about the teachers lounge, and I love this. I love the concept. There's so much meat in this, in this meal right here, with when it comes to the vast areas of conversation. You can almost get into anything to talk about when you're talking about education,
Wow.
because there's so many areas to discuss.
Wow.
What I want us to really think about is the game changer is how the shift has occurred in education as it pertains to charter schools, and what we as administrators and teachers need to be mindful of. You got to serve these kids, because the parents are taking them out of public schools, and this is by design. So I'm just saying, I'm good to my parents, because listen, I need every last one of them to stay happy and to stay at South Miami Heights Elementary School. So
I
I'm
love it.
always doing what I need to do by my parents.
I love that. I love that. You know what? That is so eloquently because that put because here's the deal. At the end of the day, I used to be a school resource officer. When I retired, I worked in the city of Coral Springs, and I thought it would be a different type of job. And I noticed that it wasn't what I thought it was. you know, um, I was at elementary school. I thought I was going to be like the mayor of the school and high five kids all day. No, that's not how it went for me. You know, this is when I really realized what a teacher does. There was this student, I think she was in the first or second grade, and I believe she had a mental illness, and I just don't think she may have not been appropriately placed, and she was a runner, and there are all kind of rules with children and touching children, especially in my department, and some of the teachers are not allowed to touch the kids. But she was a runner, and she would run. She would just break out the classroom and run, and they called me, and I just look really confused. Like, what do you do? What do you do? I have a gun on, I have all this stuff, and a vest on, and I run, and I put my arms out, and she runs around me, and I'm really confused. Like, how do they deal with this. And then when they caught the kid looked at me and she called me all kind of names, and it was really bad. And she was fighting and biting and kicking and screaming. But to see the principal and the assistant principal and the staff handle that situation with so much grace, and they knew how to calm the situation. They knew how to de-escalate. They knew, and this had nothing to do with a chalkboard. This had nothing to do with, this was a crisis that you guys have to deal with a lot. And then this they had to lock the school down because she ran out the building, so they had to lock the school down. So after this little girl was taken and calmed down, the teacher had to go back and teach as if the day must go on. And for me, I was ready to go home. I was like, this is a lot. So the moral of the story is, after running around chasing somebody, I'm saying to myself, wow, I just really thought the school was just a place you go in and everybody go to their respective areas and wait for the bell to ring and move accordingly. But it was just so much in between, from parents and custody issues, violence from the parents, just so much that was going on that was spilling out into the schoolhouse before teaching even began. So I really applaud everyone in the education system. But listen, community is so important in these kids, and it is really so important. So I applaud you, Dr. I don't know if she's still on, Dr. Samuel.
I'm still here. It's Dr. Green. Dr. Green Samuel. Yes.
Okay.
I'm still here.
Okay. So I applaud you so much for taking the time to come and talk to us. I would love to have you back for another conversation, because you're so intuitive and so knowledgeable. And not only that, you're not bitter. You're not bitter. You love what you do, and it shows. And I know a lot of people are stressed out. This is the beginning of a new school year. There's a whole lot of anxieties. There's a whole lot of things that you're dealing with, and you managed to come on here and smile and not look burned out. How do you do that? What is it?
Because I do love what I do. I understand that we really do leave an indelible footprint on the lives of our students, and so it's important for us to give our students 100% when we're in front of them. My biggest thing, and my assistant principal says to me all the time, Dr. Sammy, how is it that you have this energy that you just exude every morning? You just get out there, because I'm the voice, I'm the face of the school, and if I don't give it to them, then they're not going to receive it. So it's contagious, right? When I sneeze, everybody needs to catch a cold, because I want them to feel this energy. I want them to know that we're here to do a job, and this is about children. It's not about the money. These kids, when they leave, they say, oh, 5 years ago, I had this little girl, she said, Dr. Samuel, I remember you. And I said, what do you remember most about me? She said, I wake up every morning and win. I said, wow. You do what? She said, I wake up every morning and win. I wake up and what? Win. I said, every morning. I don't miss a beat. And if I'm not there, those kids know it. They'll say, you weren't here yesterday. I didn't hear that I wake up and win every morning. And I tell them every morning, we wake up and win every day because we're strategic about winning. And I tell them all the time, eat up your brain food. Your brain food is coming to school and making sure you get your lessons and you're staying connected and engaged to your teachers, are making sure that you are learning bell-to-bell instruction. And so I'm excited. Listen, yes. This is not a job. This is a passion, and you can't do it without a heart for education. And that's why I do it.
I love that. Yeah. So folks, I love, and thank you so much for being so transparent. And I can see the glow that you have. And I know it's a stressful job because I've witnessed it myself. And it's not every now and then. Every day you experience almost everything every day. Like from start to finish, there's different fires and situations and circumstances that are going on throughout the day, from Department of Children and Family, from dealing with some abuse issues, from dealing with, I'm like, there's so much that happens before the bell rings. And it ends up in the schoolhouse. And you know what? Just like I say, shout out to my educators and everyone, from the people that keep it clean, the people that keep it secure, and the people that actually run the institution. It is really, really not easy. But what we want to do is bring professionals such as yourself and your colleagues across the country. So I'm like, listen, we can make the difference. We can be the difference with licensed therapists that we have here, Mr. Lewis, the ombudsman here, Dr. Sherman, myself, and Miss Allen as the teacher companion, and yourself. Like, we are heard in cities across the country. What I want us to do is just start coming together and galvanizing and having conversations, but also showing up at these different schools, because we have outlets in almost every city in this country. So if we can all get together and start supplying resources, not just to the children, but reinforcing the support that the faculty and the staff need, give them the breaks that they need. Let's have the conversation, even if it is around mental health, which is going to lead to my next question. I think Mr. Lewis and Dr. Green, can you help me out with this? Mental health, like, there are a lot of teachers that I have literally saw burned completely out, and not necessarily acknowledging that they're burned out. It is impossible. I have one child. I know what a burnout is. And if you got 20 something, if you got 20 something that you're dealing with every day, there's almost no way possible for you not to be sizzling at some point, because the responsibilities are still there. So I'm going to start out with you, Mr. Green. What kind of advice from your experience would you give the teacher, even the principal, anybody involved in the education system, or anybody that's listening, how to manage or deal with being burned out?
Well, first and foremost, just because you're showing up to work every day and you're doing everything every day, it doesn't give you this badge of honor. I think a lot of people think, oh, I go to work every day and I work not long hours and I do this and I do that. But in the process, what you're also doing is you are burning yourself completely out to the point that you can't even enjoy life, or you can't even enjoy that job that you used to enjoy because you're not taking care of yourself. So something that I would advise for people to do and start being more aware of is to take your time off. If you have days that you have to take off, take those days off and do something with that. If it means getting out of the country, or that means getting out of your house, I don't know. Just do something that's going to bring you a sense of peace and tranquility, because that life work balance is a real thing. And if you don't take advantage of that work life balance, then that will lead you closer to getting that burnout. So I always advise, I tell this to clients. I have people that just are like diehard workaholics. Like, I work my fingers to the bone and I do this and I do that. Oh, okay, that's great. So what do you do when you get on vacation? Oh, I don't take vacations. Oh, okay. So that's why we talk every week. I see now, because you got all these things and all these issues, and you're not taking any time for yourself. So if you are one of those people, please take your time off. Use your time. Vacations are things that will excite you. They will get you excited to look forward to something. Like, if you got a vacation planned in Brazil and it's coming up in a month and a half, you're going to start counting down the days. You're going to look forward to doing something that's getting you out of that place that you're in. Then when you go, you're going to enjoy, you're going to have a great time. All that mess, all that stress that you left behind, you'll probably pick it back up, but you managed to have a good time and have some work-life balance, and then you can come back and then you can repeat the same cycle. So that's something that I would always recommend for people, is to use your mandated time off.
Yes, I love that. Love that. So, and what's cool about that, no excuses, because the school system gives you amazing time off from, I'm up here in Georgia, so we get a winter break, fall break. We get breaks throughout the year, summer, spring, winter, fall, several breaks. So use it wisely and understand that, you know what, even though you don't wear a cape, you're a superhero, but even superheroes need rest and self care, and that is so important for everyone, not just the educators, but please self care, because if you don't take care of yourself, it's hard for you to take care of anyone else and be very beneficial to the institution that you represent. And this leads to my next question, Ms. Lewis, if you can take this. Let's talk about self care, and the reason why we're bouncing around to the different subject matter experts in the room is because I think bringing balance is the beginning and understanding what the institution is about. As you see, most of our conversation wasn't even about what happened in the classroom. It was about the community. And as Dr. Samuel said, it was just so many hats that she wear before the bell ring, even while school is in session. So I'm thinking if we as a community can build ourselves up throughout the nation and just be a support, even if we have to go at one school at a time and say, hey, I'm a mental health therapist. I'm a life coach. I'm a this, I'm a this, get with the principals and the superintendents and say, hey, we have resources. Where can you plug us in? We're willing to talk to you. We're willing to provide whatever it is that we have. Mr. Lewis, let's speak to burnout and unrecognizable burnout. Like some people are burned out and they don't even realize it, and they're not getting the mental health. When I say mental health, I didn't say mental illness. It's a stigma with mental illness. I'm talking about mental health. Can you speak to how important mental health is, not mental illness?
Ah, man, here we go. I spend many hours, and Dr. Sherman knows this conversation. I go all around the country training on this very topic, these very topics. Different professions, public health, behavioral health, all across the board. And one of the things I find is that for many of us, I'm gonna do my best to sum this up, brother, because it's a lot. So I'm gonna do my best to make this quick.
Take your time.
First, I would like to address the cultural narrative. I just talked about this earlier today. Some of us, everybody on this call seems like we close to a similar generation where our elders told us we had to be twice as good to get half as much. And I can recall my grandfather telling me, as long as you physically able, you work. You work. If you got to work 20 hours a day and sleep 4, you work, you work, you work. And I want to speak to the sisters on the call. The narrative that you have to hold the family together. You have to keep going, and you can't be weak. You have to be the strong black woman. And then for the black men on the call, who the cultural narrative is that we are lazy. We don't do anything. So we feel like we have to overcompensate for this narrative that we're told, right? So these cultural narratives that we're told, I think before we can do anything else, Dr. Sherman's suggestion is 100% accurate. Use your PTO. Uh, what I come in before we get there, there's a barrier that a lot of people have. And they say, well, I would take my PTO, but, and it's the but. And how do we address the but, right? What is the thing that's keeping them, that barrier keeping them from saying, you know what, I'm gonna take my PTO and it's cool. And not just when it's summertime, when technically teachers are off, but I know some teachers who work year round. They work in the summer camp if your school got a summer camp. They tutoring over the summer. They're doing these things. And there's some systemic quality of life things that we can't necessarily address per se. I hear Dr. Green Samuel speaking about some of the barriers challenges he's having with hiring new teachers. Here in Georgia, I'm sure you hear Brother Adams all the time. Some counties got 200 teachers short, 300 teachers short, and all these different counties, and then you have young people who I remember when I was growing up, being a teacher was held to a high esteem. But if I'm looking on, social media and I don't see that it's esteemed as highly, or I'm seeing the worst of, then I don't have that same, it don't have that same gravitas for us, right? So I'm saying all that to say that I would first like to suggest that cultural narrative. What are the stories we're telling ourselves that is keeping us from fully engaging in self care? And then secondly, we have to define what that is for us. Many of us think we have to, um, go to a spa or take a vacation or things like that. Go to a yoga retreat, right? But in reality, um, that all those things are fantastic, and I enjoy all the type of stuff, right? But also, it's setting boundaries. It's not responding to text messages after hours. It's having a solid support system of people who are willing to help you. It's drinking water today. It's eating right. It's instead of it's just walking today on our lunch break. Like it's these things that aren't these grand gestures that I could post on my social media. It's these day-to-day actions that I'm taking that allow me to take better care of myself. And I can only do that if I define what self-care looks like for me, and having those non-negotiables, right? Like, hey, for me, like I said, all of y'all dress lovely, and y'all look beautiful. I came straight from the gym, but that's a non-negotiable for me. You know what I'm saying? I have to work out. If I don't work out, the Lamar you get right now, you would not get. That's a non-negotiable. I have no, what I mean? That's just what I do. Dr. Sherman can attest to it. Hey man, you Mississippi? Yeah, but I can't meet you till after the gym. We can connect after that, right? Like that's just a non-negotiable for me. And so I think that again, setting those boundaries, but also lastly, I would say the cultural um, experience, being aware of the cultural narratives you hear, defining what self care is, but also having self awareness, spending time in reflection, being able to step back and be aware and say, you know what? When the school year first started, me and man, I used to love them kids. Them kids, man, they was beautiful. Man, we about 3 months in, and I'm ready to choke these kids. That might be telling you something, right? I was like, again, I'm just thinking about it as a coach. Beginning of the season, everything is cool. You're excited because you have the visions for what it might be, and then the reality of the day to day sets in, and now you don't have that same zest and that same zeal for the work. So I think it's important to take time and reflect and know yourself. Hey, you know what? I'm struggling. Something I'm keep shouting out Dr. Sherman because he's good for that. He was, hey man, you can talk to me, right? Maybe you don't see it. Maybe somebody close to you to say, hey, bro, you might need, hey sis, you all right? Like you was a little snappy today. Like what's going on? Because generally, and to the point about the families, there's other contextual things that we're missing because we're in it, right? We don't see when I was working in community-based mental health, running programs and stuff. I was burnt out probably 2 3 years and didn't even know it. I just kept showing up to work. That's what we told to do, right? Show up to work, show up to work, show up to work. Not thinking about how me showing up just to get a paycheck or whatever I was there for can impact the people whose lives I'm responsible for, right? So I think that taking time to intentionally self-reflect, to pause, step back, really look at your week. How effective was I? Did I really do what I set out to do this week? Defining what self-care is for yourself, and it doesn't have to be these grand sweeping gestures all the time. These your day to day, what you putting into that bucket, and then again looking at those cultural narratives and those stories you tell yourself that can be adversely impacting your ability to take that PTO, like Dr. Sherman said, develop that work-life balance. Because again, if these narratives are, and also last thing I'm gonna say, I'm sorry, just maybe looking at Doc, maybe think about it, not comparing your journey to somebody else's journey, right?
You better
On a
preach.
different.
You
Yeah,
better say it.
let me pause. Let me pause for a second. I'm sorry. Let me pause for a second. My bad. Y'all got me excited. I'm on the road, like
Yeah, I love it, brother.
but what Dr. Green Samuel was saying as well, she has been in the game 31 years. Miss Allen, Sister Allen been in the game 20 something years. Well, I've been in this game for a minute, and for her to have the zeal and the energy that she has, we don't know what she went through to get there,
Yes.
right? And so I could see that and judge my story based on her excitement and feel like, well, I'm not excited as her. Maybe I'm not doing something right. Well, no, you don't know what she went through. Why is she excited? You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's something that we do a
You
lot
caught
of
me
as
on a
well.
good day. You caught me on a good day. You caught me on a good day.
Oh.
See, cause we all got them though, right? And that's my point. Like we don't know what people are experiencing, what they're going through, or what they went through to have that joy. And so, or what? Let me pause for a second. If that joy is authentic or not, right? Like they can be putting on the front, they can be dealing with. We just don't know. So my point is like run your race, run your journey, and you'll be surprised when you look up. You can look back 20 years and say, man, this is how far I've come. So
Yes.
those be my suggestions.
Wow.
My bad. So you got me excited, bro. I
No,
apologize, man.
this is what the teachers lounge. This is what the lounge is about, man. This is where we want to bring out all of this conversation. And I hear your passion, brother. And this is why I
Yeah.
want to connect you with people in the system so they can benefit from your passion, so they can benefit from Miss Allen's passion, so they can benefit from Dr. Green and Dr. Green Samuel's passion, and learn and take these gems. Take them back to your prospective places of work and your job. Take them to your home. That nugget you just dropped, brother, was phenomenal. And
Thank you.
Dr. Samuel, amazing perspective on how she shows love. Because when I spoke about parents, I expected a different answer, and it was so empowering to hear your perspective. Because I know what's out there, but the way you choose to view it is wow. It's really paramount. And if some other principals out there could take that perspective, and that's probably why you don't appear to be bitter, because you're looking at it from the perspective of the reality that it's in, as opposed of what you want. You're shaping it to be what you need it to be, and that is powerful for the students. And don't think for a second that the community don't know the impact that you have, because it shows. It really shows. And I know that we don't do enough for people that make a difference in our community. But what we can do with this platform is just start sharing it and letting people know this is a safe space. There's no bashing of the system. We just want to work it to the advantage, so as we begin to get older, that we'll see the fruits of the labor that the system has poured into our youth, and then we can be at peace in our elderly ages and not be concerned about how we're going to navigate life, because we didn't teach our youth how to deal with us or respect us. So I love this conversation. It is amazing. I love the fact that everybody brought a different perspective. We're going to do this frequently. Miss Allen, I love what you're doing, which I think you need to patent that. It's amazing. She came up with the theory of being the teacher's companion. So that is big. If you are a school teacher, you know the value of that. If you are a principal, you know, because the principal has so much on her plate. She cannot nurture you one-on-one. This lady has a whole entire institution to run. She cannot babysit you. So how cool would it be to have
But I can.
But yeah, exactly. So listen, she's on this channel. She's going to be on Sunday nights, starting, I believe, September 1st, and we're going to be bringing
Yes.
we're going to be bringing conversations like this to the Teacher Companion channel, and also in the Teachers Lounge. This is where we're just going to have a conversation of all kind of stuff. We're just going to be bringing all kind of stuff: financial, literacy, everything that teachers and students can use in your life and at your workplace. But if you specifically want something like curriculum-based mentorship, guidance, companionship, you're frustrated, you need to go over there to the Teacher Companion and get that. Get the information. She has a wealth of information. Everybody on this network is very, very valuable. And I'm just going to tie it in and let you guys know that this is something I thought would be a great idea to do across the globe. For those who are listening across the country, we have people listening all across the country. This is something we're going to do. And we're negotiating with, I don't know, Brother Lewis, if you're familiar with, Henry County Schools, to we're in negotiations with the school board to bring their folks on to participate in this Teachers Lounge. And this is a safe place. Not only that, but it's going to be very resourceful for us to be able to come back and just spill out our passion and give back to the community. With that being said, I'm going to start wrapping up. If you guys have any final statements or messages you want to leave them with, I'll start with you, Dr. Green Samuel, if you can come on for a second and kind of give us some final statements, and then I'll work my way, and then we can hop off But thank you so much for taking the time. I know how busy you are, and we love you, sister, for coming on and bringing all of this positiveness. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate being asked to come on and share my perspective. I would like to just share. This is such a needed platform. I'm so glad that you all are doing this. I would be very humble to be asked to come back. There's so much
Of
that I would
course.
like to share. Of course, 31 years is a lot of years of experience. So I want to thank my friend Sanjay, Miss Allen, for inviting me. I've had a great time. I just would like to say to anyone interested in this field, this is a career that you will find love and you would find true passion for doing what is in the best interest of students, and that's to help them to meet their academic goals and to be successful in the future. I am 100% sure that if we are doing what we need to do, we'll see a better future. But if we are not careful with how we are conducting ourselves as adults, we're going to fail these children and we're going to fail them big. When I say fail them, I mean we're not holding up our end of the bargain. It is supposed to be a opportunity for us to give to these children something lifelong, but we have to hold ourselves accountable. Accountability is huge. We have to hold our as educators to do the right thing. Too often there are things that's happening in the school system where people are not behaving in a manner in which we're expecting them to behave. So I just would say, when you come into this profession, know that it's about these children. Oh my God, they are looking up to us to do the right thing, be there for them, to keep them safe. That's the first thing. I'm all about safety, keeping them safe, keeping and paying attention to their needs. And when they start to act differently, when they behave differently, it's incumbent upon the teacher to pay attention to what's happening in the classroom. When their moods change, I tell my teachers all the time, you are their first line of defense. When they come to school, they're looking for you to be their advocate. And so you have to advocate for their health and their safety and their well-being. So it is incumbent upon us to do the right thing, to be present when we arrive in school. And I mean, truly present. I know we have a lot going on in our personal lives, but we have to show up for these children because they're depending on us for their future and for just, it's so hard when we are not in this for the reason that we should be. It's not for a job. It's not a job. It is a calling. And I ask that anyone that is truly interested in becoming an educator to please check in with your heart, your mind, and make sure it's all in one, and make sure that you're doing it for the right reason. And it's a calling. It's not. Thank you.
Oh, appreciate you. Thank you so much. What an amazing conversation that we had with you, Doctor. And shout out again your school. Let them know, South Miami Heights. Let them know.
South Miami Heights Elementary School.
That's right.
South Miami.
That's right. South Miami. Make sure you follow her Facebook page and follow her, support her school. And when they have something, man, let's get behind her and make sure that she stays number one and we keep her attendance up. We're gonna keep loving on you. We're gonna continue to stay in contact with you, and we adore you and we love your passion. I see
Thank
that
you.
I see that you're for real, and I want to thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Yes, thank you so
Anytime you
much.
want me to come back, I'm willing to come back. I enjoyed this very much. Thank
Thank
you.
you. We will be reaching
Thank
out.
you
I
so
promise
much.
you. We will be. Thank you. So,
Alan,
Miss,
you know I love you, girl. I'm sorry.
no, you're
That's
good.
my friend.
Love you too.
We will be reaching back out to you. We appreciate you so much. Miss Allen, any final thoughts that you would like to leave us with, and tell us a little bit more about what to expect from your channel and what you're going to be doing with the Teacher Companion.
Well, in reverse, to answer you, we'll start with what's to be expected. I'll be on Sundays at 5 because I felt the weekday, because I know that some people have not mastered not taking the work home. So we do not want to bother your lesson planning, your grading, your journaling, and your commenting on any of that. So on Sundays, when you're sitting down, getting prepared, like these gentlemen said, mental awareness is important. So sometimes you do need that jolt instead of the jokes that we see on Instagram and Facebook about, oh my God, tomorrow's Monday and we have to go to work. Let's give you some positivity when you get there because you know you're going. How am I going to start my day so that this week is better than the week before, whether that be you had a good week or a bad week. If you had a good week, we want to build on it. And if you had a bad week, we want to correct it. So we'll be on starting September 1st, Sundays at 5, and we'll have on guests like Dr. Green. But I also want to ask if Mr. Lewis and Dr. Green would also come on separately to have their own time so that we can dive into how teachers can make sure that mentally you're in school and the school is not in you. Because, like you said, you need to take a break. We have summers off, we have Christmas off, we have spring break off, and now we've never had it before for the last, I believe, last 2 years. We've had an entire week of Thanksgiving break. It is not enough.
Wow.
Because all of those other days that you're working, you get these 10 working days. You can't take them all and say, oh, I'm stressed, I'm just going to take all 10. You need to save some for some time when you're like, you know what, I just need a break. We've been going and going and going, and you should know yourself best. I need a break. Take that day, come back, recharge. Otherwise, you'll be sitting somewhere trying to explain why you yelled at Johnny, you threw the pencil, you left work, you didn't call in, you've been absent for 3 or 4 days. You basically have went far left and you love that job. But now when you're fine, you're now facing these questions from someone like Dr. Green Samuels. Where have you been? Why did I get a phone call that this and that happened? Now that's adding to your stress. So we want to not add to your stress. We want to make life better for you. So we'll have tips about not just getting your job, but once you get your job, keeping your job. How do you have great classroom management? How do you make sure the kids are learning? If they're not learning, what do you do? How do you do that easily? As a new teacher, you may not know how to swing and pivot from one thing to another. I mastered it. No one told me how. I had to learn it because they didn't tell me. And I had to learn it. I felt I needed to also share it because it's not easy for everyone. So that's the type of conversations that you'll have. Sometimes it'll just be me giving you all of the things that I've learned to make it easier for me. I probably around year 8, I was already leaving work with just my purse and my lunch bag. And everybody's like, where's your stuff? I did it at work. Because I also found once I got home, my brain shut off.
Yes.
And I didn't want to do work at home. I needed to do work at work because at home I wanted to do home stuff. I'm looking around, even like now, I'm looking around saying, oh, I need to do this and this because I'm at home. So you need to, like you said, Dr. Green, you need to have that work-life balance. You must have it. Otherwise, everything else is out of whack. So if you guys can come back and just kind of like help the teachers understand what little things you do. Like Mr. Lewis said, it doesn't have to be a vacation away. You just need to go take care of yourself, whatever that is. If you're going to the gym, which I agree, go down to the gym, leave work and go to the gym, come back refreshed. So the little things that they can do, we want to have those tips for them as well, because that's another reason why we've had teachers leave notes on desk. I quit.
Wow.
I'm like, what? Because they didn't know how to deal with the stress. So like Mr. Adams said, this is a safe space. It's not a gotcha because your boss isn't here. So you can come here, grab what you need, and go out into the world and do what you love without feeling you're inadequate or you didn't measure up or you need to leave because you can't figure out how to navigate the day without being stressed. Because once you get home, your family needs you. And even if there is no family there, you need to go home and feel like you did something, and you'll go in tomorrow and do it again. But you're confident that you can go in and do it without it consuming you.
Wow.
So that's the type of things that you'll find on Sunday. So I hope that you guys are prepared to join me. And I'm excited. I'm very excited.
We're excited
I don't
to
know which
have
one of
you
you are going to come on first, but I'm excited.
Hey, listen, I'm excited too. You know what? I gotta do a shameless plug. Have you folks listening heard this thing unfold live, like it's already working. It's not about just the students, it's about people and empowering people to have a sustainable, balanced life using other resources outside of the teacher. But how cool will it be to come in the teacher's lounge and empower them with so much more besides just uh, a curriculum? There's so much that happens before they get to the lesson planning. So let's bring balance to not just the staff, but the whole community of the education system, so society could be a better place. But it's good to see it unfold and unraveling. This is going to be a great, great, great platform. I love it. With that, and thank you so much, Miss Allen, for being a part. She's a new personality here on the MSC Network, and she's going to be on Sundays. And we let's support her. Show up. I said to myself before I handed over to Dr. Sherman, everybody knows I play music. I have thousands of listeners across the globe. Let's see if we can turn that into this conversation, because I get a lot of influence to give out as it relates to entertaining. But we do so much more. And we're so much more important than partying all the time. So let's put some purpose into whatever it is that we do. I would love to have thousands of people across the globe to come in and say, hey, I have this, I can bring this. I can bring this. I do this thing. All right, bring it to the teacher's lounge. Let's support all of our youth and adults, not just teachers, but it's in the teacher's lounge. So much is going to be happening in the teacher's lounge. Dr. Sherman, what are your thoughts of this? And already you look like you booked for a show. What are your thoughts on this whole conversation?
I mean, Rich, when we talked about this, I just knew it was going to be a great idea, because we're all able to, like you said, just give that different perspective of where we're coming from with this. And so many people, need to be inspired and to be refreshed and to take what we can give and go out into the world and pass it on and move and pay it forward. So just an excellent platform. I'm really happy that you decided to do this. I've definitely enjoyed myself listening to everyone and just getting a different sense of their backgrounds. I'm really excited to see how this is going to affect someone's life, especially as it relates to the conversation with self-care. I know that's a really big thing. Something that I do on my show, the Relatable Radio Hours, Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. And I put a link in the chat so you can watch some of the older episodes on YouTube. But something that I do on there that I want to also bring to the forefront as it relates to self-care is I always end the show by asking the guest what is something that they're grateful for. And I do that because that's a sense of saying, even though this is going on in my life, today I can be grateful for this. And it'll, again, change your mindset to thinking a little bit more positive about where you are in life, because I know we all have issues and things going on in our lives. Every person in these little boxes, these little Zoom boxes, we're all dealing with something. But if you can think about a sense of gratitude and something that you're grateful for, it just really, really helps. So I'm hoping also that um, just kind of taking that perspective of just being grateful for something in your life, everybody's got at least one thing to be grateful for. Use that as it relates to this topic of self-care and just see how that goes. I even have a gratitude journal where every day I jot down 3 things per day as to what I'm grateful for. And this is something that I ask of my clients to do. Jot down 3 things a day that you were grateful for the previous day. And by the end of the year, you can flip through the pages
Yes,
and
yes.
just in a day that you just really feeling bad, you just everything's been dumped on you, you can go back, look at that journal and look at all of the amazing things that you were grateful for those days in the previous year. And that will just incite you to just continue to be grateful for something. So I hope that that helps somebody else again out in this world as it relates to uh, uh, gratitude, and self care, because I think it definitely gives a really great perspective. So, again, Rich, thanks so much for crafting this, and I think this is going to be an excellent platform for just great conversations.
Thank you, brother. I believe so as well. Just having Dr. Green, Samuel, and Miss Allen, yourself, along with Mr. Lewis. This is just a small version. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I think we can make a difference, literally, and not just talking. We're going to work, and I'm going to challenge and push us to start doing some things and get inside these communities and make a difference. You have a voice. We're all blessed with something unique about us. How cool would it be to just pour it back into an institution that we know if you sow seeds there, we can watch them grow? And it don't take a whole lot. So you said something earlier, like what are you grateful for? I'm grateful for finally understanding my assignment. I'm grateful for understanding my purpose and being able to pull this together with so many wonderful experts. You know what? Whatever we do, it matters to somebody. Whatever you do, whatever your DNA is, I like to look at the world as a jigsaw puzzle with many pieces. And it cannot be complete if you are the piece that is missing. So add your piece to this puzzle of life because you are a difference maker. And with that being said, I thank all of you. I'm going to let Brother Lewis take us out and tell us how to stay healthy and tell us how to take care of
Wow.
our mental health, man. Get us right for the rest of the week, please, Brother Lewis.
Wow. Wow. I did not know I was gonna be doing that. I don't mind cleaning batting cleanup. I don't mind. Track, I was the anchor on the relay 4x4, so give it to me. We're gonna bring it home. That's many moons ago, y'all. Don't expect that now. But in all seriousness, man, I'm just humbled by the opportunity to connect with you all. Um, my good friend Dr. Sherman connected me through here, and then Sister Renee Smith reached out to me about this opportunity. So I'm grateful. I didn't fully understand what she meant, but now being a part of it, I see where we were going. So I'm glad I could be a part and be a service. So I'm just share a couple things. I was listening to everybody talk. One thing I want to, for your point, Brother Adams, was you mentioned operating your purpose, and something that I've strived to understand now. Um, I spent a lot of my life being active. Then I was told to not be active, be productive, right? And productivity has its place. We do have to complete things and get things done, and we have benchmarks and performance indicators and all these different things we have to do. But I think for me at this stage of my life and my development, I want to be purposeful, and that's taking that productivity to the next step. I want to be productive at the right things, right? What I'm supposed to be doing, and I feel like this is an opportunity. And if you're on this call, then you're operating in said purpose. And even if you're questioning that purpose, you're doing something purposeful because you're changing lives, right? So I just want to echo the brother's sentiments and challenge everybody to kind of move from that productivity and being busy and getting stuff done to being purposeful. And when you're purposeful, like Sister Allen said, I can go home and leave my work at work because I've done what I was called to do that day. I say that all the time. Anytime I end anything I do, when I'm done, I've done what I'm called to do. That's it. There ain't no, ain't no more to give. I don't have nothing else for you because I've given my all, right? Um, so that leads me to an African proverb that states, "If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together." And I believe that this is an opportunity for us to go together, right? We're not in this by ourselves, which leads me to my last point. When I talk about self care, I always frame it around the concept of self compassion. And as many of us on this call, so everybody on this call, we wouldn't be here if we didn't have compassion for humanity. We didn't see suffering and want to do something about it. However, it is difficult for many of us to be compassionate towards ourselves. And so I'm not going to get all into it because on one of these sessions or things y'all gonna put me on, I can break it all the way down. However, at this stage, so I just want to challenge everybody the rest of this week to be a better friend to yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, just be a better friend to yourself.
Wow.
Everybody here got that homie who you would call and They say, "Hey, bro, can you help me out? Hey, sis, can you do that at Wooty Woo?" And you got advice for them, you got love for them. You're gonna tell them do this. If you got a surprise see somebody you mentoring, and you're gonna tell them take that time off, girl. Go ahead and get you whatever. And then we don't do it for ourselves because
Wow.
we're leaders, people depend on us, et cetera, et cetera. So I just challenge everybody today to just be a better friend to yourself. You can do that. Think about your best friend. Put them in your mind right now. Your best friend. If they came to you in dire need, you wouldn't turn them away. You wouldn't flex your boundaries for them. You wouldn't, you would hold them accountable. There's certain things you would do that you're not doing for yourself. So just be a better friend to yourself today. That's all I'm
Wow. There you have it. There's so many gems from Dr. Green Daniels to the teacher companion, Miss Allen. Of course, Mr. Lewis, who's closing us out, who just closes out with that. I am going to be a better friend to myself. And I've never heard that frame so beautifully. Never thought about it, right? I was brought up on a sentiment of love thy neighbors, right? But never really paid attention to loving myself. And it was always love the neighbors first, right? So loving yourself is going to be so important because it really is a reflection of who you are. And who you are on the inside, the world sees on the outside, right? So if you're not loving yourself inside, I don't care what kind of makeup you put on, the world sees that you're not happy. The moment Dr. Samuel got on, she was glowing. And I know she's busy, but the moral of the story, she didn't have to tell me that she loved what she do. It's my first time meeting the sister, and she's glowing. So I know for the kids that attend this school that they're getting nutrition mentally, physically, psychologically, emotionally. I know she's pouring into them. And this is what this platform is about. Hey, let's give back. Let's not just talk. Let's bring what we have to the table. We've already cultivated the next show and the next future. So, Dr. Green Daniels, if you have somebody that you want to bring back and be a part with us, listen, I'm in discussion with the superintendents here in the Atlanta area. They're very excited about it. They're going through they have to go through their protocol. So this is going to be a big thing throughout the nation. This is going to be a place that we can come. Yes.
I have something I don't think you know, but you have in Henry County, you have our lovely Dr. John Pace from Miami-Dade County. He is now your superintendent.
Yes. And they're linking us together with this program.
Yes. Okay.
This is something he would absolutely embrace.
Yes. I heard about it. Well, I met the principal of Ola High School in is it McDonough, Georgia. And they had a service here at church, and he brought his whole entire faculty and staff to the church for the back to schools. And they brought the band, the whole football. It was a really big to do. They do it big here in the Georgia area, right? And I told him, I said, hey, man, I would love you to participate in what we have going on. And he said, I love that. I got to connect you with Pace. I said, wait a minute. I'm from Miami. Is this he said, yeah. So I'm excited about that.
Are you from Miami?
I'm from Miami, Florida. Yes, I am.
Okay. What part? I'm sorry.
Dade County.
I missed
I went to Miami Northwestern High School.
Okay.
Yes, I'm a true Floridian.
That's that blue, that gold. Okay.
Blue and gold.
Okay,
right?
On the background.
Yes. Mess with the bull, you get the horns.
Over here.
Okay. Where you from?
Miami. I went to New Orleans Senior High School.
New Orleans.
Miss Allen.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We don't get into that. Awesome. Awesome.
We wouldn't.
So what I'm hoping happens, right? So I love it. I love it. What I'm hoping happens, and I'm going to put this on all of us, so just think about this and sleep on it. If we can get every superintendent to buy into the concept, this is not gaslighting. This is not derogatory. This is going to be the sentiment, and this is the tone that we're setting. This is the first show. I would love for every superintendent to allow this platform to be a part of their school system. This is not, I saw things on Facebook that was unpleasant. I saw teachers that were going in on their principal in public I did not like it. I thought it was distasteful. There's always more sides to the story, but if you have a platform and you abuse it, people tend to believe uh, the foolishness that you're putting out there. So we're about real content, real information, helping people. But this is a virtual place that I want all educators to be able to come, so that we can help support one another. There was so much information received and so much inspiration from the principal here at South Miami Heights, and how she runs her school. And there are other principals that can learn from what you said. There are other teachers that can learn from what you said, Miss Allen, and other people that can take so much information. So the goal is to get into every school system across the globe, and we're not run by the government. We're self-funded, and we're not governed by anything else but the FCC, because we are broadcasting. I would love to have this thing go viral. So if you can think of anything, we're open to suggestions. Listen, I'm an inclusive person, and it's not about me, it's about us. And I have a child that's in the system, so everything matters to me. And my future is in you guys' hand. So we need to take more initiatives and be more involved in our educational system. And I think this platform could provide that. And guess what? Everyone here volunteered their time, their love, and their passion, and it costs absolutely nothing to love on all the listeners across the globe. It took nothing. And this is a good place to appreciate those who do not wear capes. This is an opportunity to give back, but not only that, be fruitful without, we're not going to the political arena here. We won't be preaching, going religious. This is just all inclusive. I don't care where you come from. I want everybody to be a part so that we can strengthen our school system and not leave it up to the government for our little girls and boys to grow up and develop into productive citizens. Let's do it ourselves, all right? Let's do our part. So thank you guys so much for all that you have done and that you have brought. I know it went lengthy. This is our first show, so forgive us for the technical glitches. But listen, this is going to be on YouTube. Share it, and let everybody know what we're doing. Bring them. Everybody's welcome. All right. On that note, I just want to say thank you guys. Have a wonderful rest of the evening, and be safe, and enjoy the rest of your week. I love you guys, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good night. Love you guys.
Nice meeting everyone else on the panel.
Nice meeting everyone. It was a great pleasure. Thank you.
All right. All
Great
right.
pleasure. Have a great evening, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Stay in
Good night.
touch. All right. Have a good one.
Good night.